Former president ended up sitting was just behind me and to the right of me, and this was a slow build.
So President Trump was recently shot during a rally in Pennsylvania. A tragic incident. The young man who shot him was killed by the Secret Service immediately. This is a very important event, not just for Americans, but also a lesson for Cameroonians to learn. Some of us live in these great nations, and somehow we've been tied either to the left or to the right. And I love the way Americans, both the current president and president-to-be, President Trump, I love especially the way past presidents and the current president handled the situation. Keep watching.
First, we saw members of his family arriving, then his face, video of him on the screen with that bandage on his ear, and then he entered the hall. So there was a build-up here, big cheers as he entered here, and he took a seat next to his new running mate, J.D. Vance, this now becoming their first event as the Republican ticket.
My fellow Americans, I want to speak to you tonight about the need for us to lower the temperature in our politics. And to remember, while we may disagree, we are not enemies. We're neighbors, we're friends, co-workers, citizens, and most importantly, we are fellow Americans. We must stand together. A former president was shot.
We must stand together. Cameroonians, we must stand together. In spite of our political differences, in spite of our views about our nation, in spite of our experiences, even the black people that have been slaves in this country for 400 years, you've not seen them split up this nation. I think they've been hurt more than the way we have as Anglophones in Cameroon. They've not split up this nation. And I want to help you understand that this is high time we stand up and unite and work together and say, in spite of what we have gone through, you cannot count the cost of war. You cannot count the cost when it comes to what we have lost. But guess what? We can let go of the past and move forward to the future. And I think this is a more refreshing perspective if we want to make our nation better, if we want to make Cameroon great, if we want the Cameroon dream to become a reality for every Cameroonian, we have to be able to set aside our differences, learn from a great nation like this, see what is happening, pick it, plug it, and be able to get the results and move forward and make progress. And not sit in our own little corner and say, this person can never change. And if this person can never change, then what makes you think I should believe you will change? If this person or this system will remain like that forever, what hope do I have that your own system is even going to work? Are you guys understanding? If we cannot have faith and hope in someone else, how come do we want others to have hope and faith in what we are preaching? If our approach is that some other group of people are not able to change.
An American citizen killed while simply exercising his freedom to support the candidate of his choosing. We cannot, we must not go down this road in America. There is no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. All of us now face the time of testing as the election approaches. And the higher the stakes, the more fervent the passions become. This places an added burden on each of us to ensure that no matter how strong our convictions, we must never descend into violence. Let's never.
No matter how your conviction is, we should never descend to violence. And I think every Cameroonian, every Anglophone, the military in Cameroon, the leaders in authority in Cameroon, I think this is a clarion call. I think we need to back off. This approach of violence will not help us. And we should learn from the greatest nation on earth. both those in power and those in the opposition all stand together and say, we do not condone violence. And some of you live in America hearing this, and I think it's high time you rise up and say no to violence in your own country, and not be someone that is pushing for violence with the idea that the government in Cameroon will never change, and the only way for you to achieve your objective is through violence. President Biden is from the left, and most of you with your ideology are pushing for radical left ideas. And I'm saying, in spite of your position, this is President Biden saying no to violence. Can you condemn this of any kind? And stop. You start by saying, I want to let the young people on the ground understand that violence has no place in Cameroon. Keep your guns down and stop the fighting. There is no place for violence in Cameroon. That is a good place for us to start. No one should die for whatever reason.
Lose sight of who we are. Let's remember we are the United States of America. There is nothing beyond our capacity when we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect her.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah, you know, what I have found is that you can, you should be able to change your mind. You know, people today, no matter on any issues, you can learn, you can get closer to things, and then you can change your mind.
You can learn and you can change your mind no matter the position that you've had for the rest of your life. You can change your mind. And I'm saying the only way you will get to change your mind is to prioritize the well-being of the people over your political ambitions. Over your political ambitions. If you measure the cost and you look at your people dying more, you should be able to change your mind. That is why Mahatma Gandhi is celebrated, because he said no violence and stayed his course, no violence. That is why Nelson Mandela is celebrated. That is why Martin Luther King Jr. is celebrated, because they said no violence. No violence. I mean, don't twist their words or their intentions or their movements. They said no violence and they lived it. Those are leaders that we respect, and we respect them for a reason.
The economy was much better. The country, we had a better border, better foreign policy. So I think independents, even though they'll see two hard conservatives running probably, I still think they'll think they were better off in the Trump years, and hopefully they'll choose the Republican ticket.
I hope this message meant something to you, that you can sit back today and reflect about how far we've come as a people. Understand that it is time for us to come together and walk, not talk. It's not to come on the table to talk. It's time to come together and walk to build our country, not coming together to talk. Let's come together and build and walk and develop and produce. When we come together and start receiving the necessary education, empowering entrepreneurs, producing and having a thriving economy, we will be able to eliminate most of these problems over time. There is no shortcut. If someone is selling you something else, if you're buying it, that some leader will emerge and change everything overnight, good luck with that. But the way we transform an economy like ours, transform a nation like ours, is to become industrious. As we become industrious in the process, we will be able to eliminate any long-term death cycle that our nation is caught up in. Because Cameroon owes some of this nation that we are saying do not associate with. Cameroon probably owes francs. Cameroon probably owes the World Bank. Cameroon probably owes IMF. And you cannot just break away from those relationships with shared will and determination. You have to pay back that money. Whatever money you borrowed, you have to pay it back. Remember the World Bank and the IMF, these are institutions that were created at the end of the Second World War to help nations that went into war to rebuild their economy. Over time, the IMF and the World Bank have been solving other global crises and solving challenges in other countries, including third world nations like ours. And I just want to say, if you owe them, you have to pay back that money. And so it's hard for you to say the president should just cut off from these people, break away from this relationship. No, if you've signed a contract and you borrowed money, you have to pay back that money. If you borrow that money to revive your economy, you have to pay back that money. And guess what? If you look at our production capacity in Cameroon, I don't think it's up to that standard that we should be if we really worked hard together and united. And so it is time for us to embark on building, because it's only when we build and we're able to repay those debts. When we repay those debts, we can be able to say we are breaking out of this relationship, because when you pay that money, you are free. You are free. And the only way we get there is to become productive. When you are productive, you'll be able to pay back your debt and be able to offset the long-term debt cycle that our nation finds itself in. Have you asked yourself the question, how much does Cameroon owe and who does Cameroon owe? Right? You might say, I don't want our country to be controlled by France. I don't want our government to be controlled by France. Yeah, Ninja Frunzi said that. That is something that we should desire, right? But look at all the contracts that our country probably got itself into before President Pobia even came to power. And the debt that has been accumulated maybe by his regime. In order for us to have complete control over our nation and do as we want, we have to be able to address those debts. I hope this message was enlightening to you. I encourage you to share this video, like it, drop a comment below. What did you learn from what I just shared? And how can you take action on what you've heard today and make a difference in your country and make a difference in Cameroon and make a difference in your community? God bless you and God bless Cameroon. If you like this video and you want to watch another one, click right here. If you want to watch the entire video, click right here.